Hey, this is Deepesh, and I'm just going to give you a quick demo here of the graduation strategy in action. So in this particular example, I've already set up my graduation tests in my page post engagement campaign. I have a range of audiences that I've been testing over a few days on fairly small spends, which I'll show you shortly. And now I want to go and analyze and see if any of those audiences are ready to move from testing to my main campaign. So this campaign that I'm running is a digital product, and we're going to look at moving a campaign into our website conversion campaign. So let's have a look at how the results are. So I'm going to go into my page post engagement. We have some audiences running here, and we also have a failed audience which didn't work out. And one of the things that I often do just to help my analysis is to update the campaign name in my page post engagement when a particular audience has not worked. So the way I like to approach it is, if an audience hasn't worked, I want to come back and analyze it at a later point and see if there are any other creatives I can push in there. But for the time being, I would switch it off when I'm confident that the numbers are not stacking up. So in this particular example, it ran over some previous period, and I think it had like 1,000, maybe 1,500 impressions. But the key thing here was looking at the click-through rate and the cost per click and also the cost per landing page view. This ad set was way off the scale in terms of bad performance. CPM was all over the place. This particular audience was looking at all site all engagement of the page, 1% lookalike of the engagement. So that just did not work at all. That was switched off, and it was marked as the 16th of March, which is actually today, as not working. So the period we're looking at is just 2 days, because this campaign was running at £15 a day, and that was enough for us to be kind of running and generate enough data. So you can see here there are enough impressions on all of these accounts, which were running over this period as well. So they've got 4 audiences. Lookalike of time spent, 25% of my top engaged people on the site. People, a 1% lookalike of the people that have visited my sales page. A 1% lookalike of my full email list, and also just testing fans here as well. So the creatives across, actually all 4 of these ad sets are exactly the same. So I just want to bring in my best creative and test out new audiences on a really small spend. And so what I'm looking at here is how have the metrics fared up against what I'd expect. So I'm looking at about 1% as my benchmark for this particular campaign, because I know what the website conversion performance looks like. And so my page post engagement, if I get that kind of level of performance from a PPE ad, I know that when I move into WC, it's going to probably do as well. And that's all part of this whole test process. However, what I want to also look at is the cost per click as well, because that's the ratio of the CPM that you're paying and the click-through rate that you're getting. And this particular one is doing really well. 0.41 on my cost per click, and also I'm looking at cost per landing page view as well. And just to iterate here that a link click from your ad doesn't mean that they've hit your landing page. So I'm monitoring that as well. Off the landing page is straight into purchase. So there is no cart, there's no other metric that I'm looking at down the funnel. So really what I'm looking at as a hint here is what is my CPC and my cost per landing page view. And you can clearly see out of all of these, this particular audience here is doing really well. And so I'm really happy for this one to be moving over into my website conversion campaign. Now, how do you do that? There's probably different ways that you might think about doing it, maybe recreate it in your website conversion campaign. But actually with the new ads manager, there is something good about it. You can do a really fast duplication. You can move it from your PPE to your WC. So if you select existing, look for your WC campaign, which for me is this one here. And then you literally just make a duplicate. Now, if I wanted to, I might make 2 or 3 duplicates, especially when you move an audience over from your testing into your main campaign. There's no guarantee that it's going to find the best audience straight away. So going back to understanding oceans, boats, and hooks, sometimes when you drop an ad set in, it just lands a bad audience, and you have to then pause it and start again. So in this example, I'm going to actually launch 2 versions of exactly the same audience because I want to make sure that the audience works. So I'm going to launch it into my WC. I'm going to give it a small amount of spend and then come back and analyze it, and hopefully at least one of them does well. If both of them do well, perfect, I'll let them both run. If one does bad, one does okay, I'll pause one, let the other one go. If both do bad, then I might restart that again, knowing that my graduation worked well. So let's go ahead and just duplicate that. So what this will do is it will take the copy of this ad set and move it into my main campaign. So it's a super easy way of getting that set up. And so it gives you the options if you want to edit it. One thing to note, especially when you go from PPE to website conversion, is there'll be no pixel event because PPE doesn't have one. So I'm going to now type in purchase because that's the one I'm interested in for this particular account. Now with this, because I'm moving it from PPE to WC, I'm going to optimize for landing page views. And when I get enough conversions, I'll move it back to pixel. So if I scroll down to the bottom, I'm going to change paid post engagement, which it defaults to landing page views, because that's my focus here. I've got retargeting campaigns set up, and that's where I'll try and capture the traffic. If I get any sales through this, then I'll switch it back to to conversion. So literally I'm copying over as is. We were testing with the Facebook newsfeed only. I'm going to add the Instagram placement because when I'm running in the website conversion campaign, they're the 2 main placements I'm working with. If I have something specific for stories, I might do that as well. But these are the 2 key areas that I'm playing with as well. And just have a check through and see if there's anything else that needs editing based on the audiences. This one, we've got our lookalike set, we've got our exclude set, so there's nothing else I need to change. So that's literally copied the audience from PPE to WC. It's selected both at the same time, so where I've changed purchase and changed the optimized event, it's done it on both ad sets, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to check the budget. It's actually £20 a day. That's fine as well. I'm going to publish that out. So that's literally how easy it is to move your campaign once you're happy that it's in a state of qualifying for your graduation. Now what I'm going to do is actually head back into my PPE campaign. I'm going to pause that ad set and I'm going to label it graduated. This just allows me to have a reference point of what's been working, what hasn't, and also gives me an idea of what good audience is as well. So here, let's just label that. So graduated, I'm going to put the date and hit enter, and then once that's refreshed, then I'll switch that ad off. So this is the full graduation process from finding a winner to moving it to your WC campaign.